62 basically. And not to diminish this September and the run they had, but we made it a playoff team.
Not only that, but AL East champion team. That was key and not guaranteed there down the stretch. So I'm excited, and I'm going to be really honest. Having that bye week and watching like other baseball games and just basically being la di da about it, like not having like an actual like dog in the fight, and it didn't hit me really until like sometime last night. That's like the excitement of today. Like
Honestly,
just all of a sudden, I was just a random post on X, and I was like, "Oh my goodness! Like this is happening." So
I feel that, Jen, 110%. Honestly, very similar. Yesterday night, I just all of a sudden just got washed with excitement. This morning, I woke up feeling like a little kid and so excited to actually talk this on Long Toss. We've got all sorts of stuff to get into. We're going to talk the division series, obviously. The Vladdy of it all is going to be a topic of discussion. Bo Bichette not in the lineup. Some little surprises to get into here. Number one being this is a lefty heavy bullpen, something we didn't see coming. Max Scherzer, Chris Bassett left off of the roster here for the ALDS. We're going to get into past Blue Jays playoff moments that have stuck with us. We're going to get into the Yankee fans, and the Yankees have been shit talking a little bit. And I mean, they haven't really, Aaron Boone bringing up Buck Martinez is the Yankees. I don't care what anyone says, aren't a good team. It makes you wonder, like, is this in their head a little bit? So we'll dive into that, and then we'll obviously before the end of the show talk the other series going on. If you are in chat, thank you so very much. Hit that like button, hit subscribe. We are going to be going to the chat pretty regularly here, so definitely drop your comments. Deb, good to see you. Mike and T.O. says it's been way too long. It has. And I'm so happy to have the crew we have on the panel. Joel LaFlamme, hey, Kami. Buddy, you have been all over the countryside. You've been making baseball content like crazy in 2025. Thank you for taking the time, and so happy to have you on this long toss, buddy.
Yeah, technically all out of the country.
Yes,
You
all
know?
out of the country.
But yeah, no, it's good to be here and actually in Canada for the playoff run. So that's good. I'm not having to be in the United States and support Canada with a bunch of people who just roll their eyes at me when I talk about our Blue Jays. But no, it's absolutely great. And like you guys said, it was like there was an entire week of just biding my time, twiddling my thumbs until this moment, and now it's here, and it's the Yankees and all that rivalry, sign stealing, talking trash, all this stuff that's been happening has finally hit, and here we are. This is the series that, don't get me wrong, I may have been cheering Boston in that first round, but here we
I
are.
love that you said that, Joel, because here's the truth. I really didn't care who won, but watching the games, I couldn't help but cheer for Boston. There's just like no part of me that allows me to, even when it matters, like I know that we wanted three games. We wanted them to like go the distance, which they did, just so that as many pitchers are used as possible, all of that sort of thing. But every single game I'd go in being like game two, right? I was like, okay, the Yankees need to win this. Let's hope for the Yankees. And by like the first inning, literally like by the middle of the first, I'm like, no, go Red Sox.
Come on. That's how it feels. It just, I don't know. It's like putting two north ends of a magnet together. It just repulses me, and I can't do it. So.
Bat flipping Matt Cernacca joins us on the panel. Wonder Kid, if you will, our editor extraordinaire, fill and co-host over the last month in times when Jen's not available or when Jen couldn't make it. Adam hasn't been around. So Matt, how are you feeling about this series, my man?
I haven't been this excited for Blue Jays baseball in a long time. I'm stressed, I'm anxious, but I'm also excited, and I couldn't be happier that today's the day.
And we're going to dive in here. Obviously, we got all sorts of stuff to talk about. A big shout out to Johnny Eaton our producer here, he set this whole stream up. We would not be live right now if it wasn't for you, Johnny. So thank you so much. So excited to hear your take on these Toronto Blue Jays. Where's your excitement level at?
Oh, it's peak. It's as peak as it can be. Okay, this is how excited I am. On Tuesday, I watched 9 hours of baseball. That's yeah. And that wasn't even my team. So that's how ready I am to watch the Jays play.
Yeah, no, honestly, I mean, I think we've all been glued to the wild card series, and they really did deliver outside of the Dodgers walking all over the Reds. We pretty much got to witness each of these series go the distance. We got to see a maximum amount of baseball. And it's funny how when you're a fan of a team, but your team's not in those do or die situations, it's so much more enjoyable to watch the games, you know, like, not that I'm not incredibly excited for these games, but I get very nervous. We do have the lineups for today. So this was announced about an hour and a half ago, and there are some interesting stuff going on here in of course now my Twitter is oh, here we go. Okay. So batting first is obviously George Springer, going with the lefty in the 2-hole Nathan Lucas. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. hitting third, Addison Barger hitting fourth in the cleanup spot. Alejandro Kirk in the catching position hitting fifth, and Dalton Varsho in center field hitting sixth. Then we have the switch hitting Anthony Santander playing left field, and in the 7-hole, Andre Jimenez, Gold Glover extraordinaire in shortstop hitting eighth, and then we have Ernie Clement in the 9-hole at second base. Now, Jen, when we started talking this before we went live, you kind of stayed quiet here. You were saving it for the big show here. What is your thought on this lineup, which obviously John Schneider and the brass felt it very important to try and set it up righty lefty, righty lefty, righty lefty?
Yeah, I think that it's very purposeful what they've done. And to be completely honest, just looking at the ALDS roster as a whole, it's really obvious as an organization that they made the difficult decisions, but what are probably the right decisions, to be completely honest. I think, first of all, I think we all knew that Bichette was not going to be able to play in this series. So I don't think that should surprise anyone. I think that the main surprise perhaps is Santander, and particularly the fact that he's starting in left field today.
How do you feel about that? Do you mind him in the field?
I mean, is it the world's greatest scenario? No, but I think, to the point that we were talking about before the show started was that, George Springer being a DH, I think has really helped his performance this season. And I think that, taking all of those factors and putting them together, I think that this lineup is interesting. I think Santander makes sense in the sense that they went out and they paid a lot of money for this exact reason, right? They want his power to be available. So whether that's in the lineup or off the bench. So I get why that was the decision that they made. And I honestly really don't have a problem with it.
No, and I don't either. I mean, there are obviously, and I kind of said this before we went live, but you can kind of tear apart the 7, 8, 9 hole of pretty much every lineup and question who should be where. But all in all, there's no real big surprises. I do like that Davis Schneider's on the bench and able to come off in a scenario where, let's say, a little later in the game, you need that righty bench guy who can maybe actually swing a bat, put Clement at shortstop and get Jimenez out in a certain scenario. I know that the Yankees literally just released their lineup. So for those of you who didn't hear it, it is Trent Grisham leading off, Aaron Judge in the 2-hole, Cody Bellinger hitting third, Ben Rice 4, Giancarlo Stanton in the 5-hole, Jazz Chisholm hitting 6th, Ryan McMahon 7, Anthony Volpe 8, and Austin Wells catching. And in that number 9-hole, Joel, what do you think of the Yankees lineup, and what is your, let's say, your biggest concern about the Yankees in general?
Uh, home runs,
Yeah.
right? I think that's, but at the same time, obviously the stat that gets thrown around the most is the team that out homers their opponents wins 80% of the time. So that's thrown around a lot. Obviously, this is a situation where it is a team that hits a lot more home runs than the Blue Jays versus the Blue Jays. But I think that stat is a little misleading. And the reason I think that is because if you have every team and their approach is to hit home runs, that's their offensive style, is to hit home runs, which is practically 28 of 30 teams in baseball. Then clearly the team that hits the most home runs is going to win. But that's not the Blue Jays approach. So I don't think that style necessarily leads to the same results in this situation. And I've always come to the mindset that when it comes to the postseason, home runs are much harder to come by. They're harder to come by. You're not facing the 4 or 5 guys in a rotation. You're facing the best that the team has to offer. They're not gonna, we're down a little bit, let's let the low leverage guys come in here and we get blown up. Now you're scrapping for every single thing, every single inning in the postseason. And I feel like if you're going to come up to the postseason and win and success, I know it's hard to do in this day and age, but you got to string hits together. And this team has been good, exceptionally well at putting and stringing hits together. So I feel like that concept of out homering your opponent makes sense when everybody's got launch angle on their mind, but the Blue Jays haven't had launch angle on their mind for 6 months. So hopefully that's a little bit overrated in this position.
Just to jump on that, sorry.
Yeah.
The Jays' magic number all season has been 5 runs.
Yes.
Right? Score 5 runs and you are probably going to win the game. So they may not hit as many home runs, but it doesn't matter how you score those runs. Obviously, home runs would help to score 5 runs, but that's not what this team has done. So if they can get to Yankees pitching, right? If they can string together those hits, as Joel said, and put runs on the board, then they have a good chance of winning these games.
And to add on to your point there, Jen, I saw that stat as well, and I think they're 71-4 when they score 5 or more runs, which really is the magic number there. I know, Matt, when you look at this lineup, and Madani Ami says here, they better be able to take care of Bellinger if they walk Judge all series. So on that point, where are you at on Aaron Judge, Matt? Do you think that this is a man that they are going to pitch around? Are they going to make it so that Cody Bellinger has to beat them? Or do you think they're going to pitch to Judge all season, or all series, I should say?
I think you have to pitch to Judge. You can go both ways on it. He's the power guy. He's the guy in New York, but to win a playoff game and to win a playoff series, you can't be given the free passes in any extent. I think, especially with Gausman starting, I think Gausman's good enough that he can get Judge out in the big situations. I trust a lot of our relievers that I assume are going to go up against Judge, like Varlin, Sir Anthony. I feel like he could definitely get them out, but it would be the difference between giving up a solo shot or risking a 2-run shot with Bellinger. And in a playoff series, I don't see how you can risk a 2-run shot.
Johnny, what's your opinion on that? Are you pitching around Judge? How concerned are you about this Yankees lineup?
It's a tough call because back when they swept the Yankees in July there, they worked around Judge all the time. It was a very effective strategy. Mind you, they had a slightly different lineup then too. So I'm in favor of situational decision making, where you use your eyeballs, you look and see how your pitcher's doing. Is he sharp? If Kevin Gausman is out there and his splitter is nasty and he's locating the fastball high and tight, let him pitch to Judge. But if you've got a base open, like if you have nobody on and 2 out and he's not the sharpest, I'm for walking him. So just situational pitching in that. That's my take on it anyway.
Mike in TO says they walked him all July and went 6-1. Everyone in chat, thank you so much for joining us, and feel free to drop your comments. We will try to get to as many as possible. Hit that like button. This is Long Toss. We are live, and the division series is now just over 2.5 hours away. Very exciting stuff. Jen, I know that they just announced the pitching for the first 3 games, and it's going to go Kevin Gausman. No surprise, he's our guy in game 1. And then a little bit of a surprise might be, depending on how you look at it, Trey Savage game 2. What is your thought on Shane Bieber game 3, by the way? What is your thought on them going with the youngster, a man who's been called up 5 different times this year, has gone through the entire organization, and has already pitched in some really important moments at the end of this season, getting the ball game 2 at home?
Not at all surprised. I think we, first of all, knew who the first 3 starters would be. It was just a matter of which order they would pitch in. And I think the argument of having Savage start at home in a fan-friendly atmosphere, not take on the Yankees in their own ballpark with that fan base and, the short porch and right, I think is setting him up for success, really, right? Not that this guy, necessarily needs a helping hand to be successful, but I think they're putting their starters in the best positions to be successful, right? Shane Bieber obviously has far more experience, particularly pitching in like high stress situations. And so giving him that first game at Yankee Stadium, I think makes all the sense in the world. I think there were a lot of people who were surprised at maybe who was left off the roster in the pitching side. I did think, I did expect either Bassett or Scherzer to be on the roster. And I think a lot of people did. I think that's been, a main topic of conversation in sports talk media in the city. And to see that, and that's what I meant earlier when I said that I think they made some really difficult decisions and really stacked what they thought would be the best set of pitchers against that Yankees, left-handed lineup.
Joel, what did you think about them going so left-handed heavy when it comes to their playoff roster here? They obviously omitted Chris Bassett and Max Scherzer from their playoff roster, and Mason Fluharty and Justin Bruihl are in the bullpen right now. You've got Eric Lauer, you've got Brandon Little. There's a lot of left-handed pitchers to choose from here. What is your thought on the way that they have constructed this playoff roster?
I think it makes sense when you have, usually in a string of 4 batters, you'll have Jazz, Wells, and Grisham in front of Judge. So to me, that sets up an opportunity to be very aggressive to those hitters, try to get them out as much as possible so that Judge is coming up with nobody on, and then you can focus on Judge on how you want to approach him. So I think it just gives you a lot of opportunity when you have those extra lefty bats to attack what would be in front of Judge more often. And then when it comes to Bellinger's usually actually really good at hitting lefties. So to me, it's that situation of attacking the bottom half, making sure that they don't do anything. And like I said, it goes Jazz, Volpe, Wells, Grisham. So that's 3 out of 4 lefties at the bottom of the lineup, then Judge, right? So if you can attack that, make sure that that is as clean as possible over the course of the series so that Judge isn't coming on with 2 or 3 guys on. I think that's ideal.
The big deadline acquisition, I should say, was Shane Bieber. And the Blue Jays acquired in Shane Bieber a bona fide ace. Now, obviously, a lot of risk to him coming off of Tommy John surgery, and he has pitched very well, admirably at that, you would say, coming off of this injury. Jason in chat says, Biebs goes game 3 in New York. Smart. And so, Matt, I'll throw to you here. Where are you at on the idea of, obviously it was between Bieber and Trey Savage, it felt like, and letting Savage pitch at home kind of shields him from what is a hostile New York Yankee environment there at Yankee Stadium. Shane Bieber has pitched in the playoffs before. He's pitched against the Yankees in the playoffs before. He has that experience. What are your thoughts on Shane Bieber taking the ball in game 3? And do you like the matchup?
I think Shane in game 3 is the best case scenario. Like you said, and Jen said it the best, touching on Savage in game 2. I think everybody is very much forgetting he's less than a month in the MLB, and he's about to go up against the Yankees in the ALDS. Softening the pressure and letting him feel as comfortable as he can, I feel, is definitely important. So game 2 is perfect. And Bieber has been excellent for us since coming off of Tommy John surgery. I remember that first game he came back, you and I were texting and we're like, we have to do a show because this was too good to waste. He's been great. He's been steady, and with the playoff experience he does have, I feel like he can go into New York, limit the pressures on him, and just be the Shane Bieber that we acquired.
Johnny, do you think that Shane Bieber has done everything that you could have wanted out of him since they acquired him at the deadline? He's been pretty steady, maybe a few bumps in the road, but minimal at that.
For a guy coming off of Tommy John, I've been very pleased. It very easily could have gone a different way. It could have gone a Blake Snell way. I don't know if people remember how terrible he was coming off of Tommy John.
Truly.
So that he came in and pitched to like a 3 ERA, that's fine with me. He hasn't, to me, really looked super dominant. Even in that first outing where he was really good, he didn't look super dominant to me. So I'm hoping that comes out in the playoffs, that he has got enough starts under him, that he's got the good feel for his stuff, and he can go out there and pitch. That's my hope. I don't know. I would slightly disagree with Matt on the Trey Savage game 2 thing. I don't know if it's going easy on him to put him up against Fried.
Easy might have been the bad word. I think it's softening the blow of the situation.
Yeah.
Would have been a better way to put it.
That's a hell of a pitcher to go up against.
Well, I mean, but really it's the lineup against Fried, right? Like that's really what it is. So,
yeah.
you know, like I agree. I think it is finagling things to kind of have the best scenario. I just want to add, and I'm sure he's willing to do absolutely anything for this team to win and be in the best position to win and maybe get to the World Series. But I am really glad I was not the one who had to tell Max Scherzer that he was not on the roster.
Oh, that would have been a tough talk to have. And it does go to show you how, I mean, I guess there isn't really a word for it other than this is a big boy club.
Yeah.
These are guys who have been here before and have already shown they're prepared to do whatever it takes to make the next step, and the next step is the ALCS. So on that, we'll start with you, Johnny, but I will go to you right away here, Jen. Chris Bassitt, and Boo Must Die says, really bummed there's no Bassitt. That dude cooks in New York City, sub-3 RA in his career in Gotham. Chris Bassitt, obviously some really weird splits this year. He is just lights out at home. I know that there's more to it than just that. Chris Bassitt feels like he still fits into this playoff roster at some point. If they do manage, and I don't want to look ahead, but like, let's just say there is an ALCS for this team. I don't want to look ahead and then right away I look ahead.
Game 1 hasn't even started, Scott.
Exactly. I guess the question is Chris Bassitt not being this lineup, coming off a little bit of an injury, coming off being sore? Do you think that this is a long-term plan, or do you just think that he just straight up didn't have it at this point and they just went with the idea that like Tommy Nance and Justin Brule are going to contribute more in a division series here?
Is that for me or Jen?
That's for you, Johnny.
Okay. I think it's a little of column A, a little of column B. Bassett's splits are really extreme, and I don't think they wanted to put him in game 1 or 2 in a 5-game set, and that kind of is what was needed. And I don't think they wanted to pitch him game 5 of a 5-game set either. So I think that's what it is. Could also be just like lingering back tightness, that kind of thing. Matt and I were talking about this before the show. You know, maybe he comes to them and he's like, it's still a little sore. And they're like, well, we don't want to not have a pitcher for 2-3 games. We'd rather have the bullpen arm. So I'm just guessing, but if I had to guess, that's it. It's a combo of how he's pitched home road and how he's feeling.
And where you slot him in. Yeah. Yeah, so Mike in Toronto goes, I think he knew when he pitched like 5 innings in the inter-squad game. I was actually at that Thursday inter-squad game, and Scherzer took the ball all 5 innings. I think they wound up going an extra inning there, so he didn't pitch in the last inning of that game. So I do think that he knew what was going on here. I'll go to you here, Jen, with where things are shaping up for if there is a game 4 needed, which I think there's going to be. I think this is going to be a hard-fought series. How do you feel about, and you know what, Thursday, the final game against the Red Sox, they went Louis Varland into Eric Lauer, and it looked incredible. Where are you at on the idea of a bullpen game in a playoff series, even if it is Eric Lauer pitching the bulk of it?
I mean, I think it's very situationally dependent, and I think that this team has found themselves in that position a little bit, right? Like with the injuries down the stretch to, you know, Bassett and Barrios, with recent performances of, you know, Scherzer, like the Jays have obviously found themselves in the position where they needed to have that bullpen game. And because it went so incredibly well, it makes it a viable option for the playoffs, right? So, and I think it was important that they actually did like get to see what that looked like against the Red Sox, right? Like, I think that was very purposeful. I think that this was part of the plan or potential plan, like before the season even ended, right?
Purposeful is a great word, Jen. How purposeful do you think that this front office and this management and coaching staff has been with the playoff roster? Because it really does, when you look at what they've done, it really does look like they've done their homework. They have a plan, have had a plan for some time.
Yeah, I think that they have, right? Like I said off the top, I think that, you know, on paper, it looks like some really difficult decisions were made, and perhaps not the popular decisions, if that makes any sense. But they clearly made the decisions that they thought matched up best with the Yankees or against the Yankees, right? And were plotting that, testing that out, leading up to, you know, the end of the season. So they're not just kind of doing this on a whim or on a hope and a prayer. They've got they've looked at the data. That's what I'll say. They've looked at the data. They've got some evidence here.
Retro Sensual in chat says, I am Noivus, and you are not alone. Boo Must Die says, the way these starters are dropping to end the season, we might need Scherzer and heck, Adam Macko in the next round. And Joel, it's been interesting because the truth is, you go back 6 weeks, and it kind of felt like starting pitching was a little bit of an embarrassment of riches, and baseball has a way of taking your strength and quickly making you pull at your collar going, whoo, do we have enough of this? Where are you at on just the depth of starting pitching right now with the Toronto Blue Jays. How are you feeling about it? And how do you like the way that they have lined this starting staff up? I know we talked a little bit about Yasavich already, but where are you at on the idea of Yasavich pitching in the 2-hole and maybe getting some bullpen usage in Game 5? Where are you at on Kevin Gausman pitching Game 5? Do you think that's a foregone conclusion?
I,
I know that was a lot. Sorry, Joel. I
It's
asked
all
you like
good.
8
That's all good.
questions in one here.
That's all good. I would say that Eric Lauer kind of creates a lot of additional options because of his versatility of coming out of the bullpen and starting this year. When it comes to Trey starting Game 2, I was never really against the idea after that amazingly successful bullpen game that we had against Tampa, to potentially go to an opener, and let Trey come in after getting through the lineup one time, have a chance of putting a run up on the board and having him pitch with the lead, put him in one of those types of situations, at least have the possibility of something like that occurring. Is it a foregone conclusion that Gausman pitches Game 5? It all depends on Game 1.
Interesting.
So it's a situation where if he comes out and they have a good read on he's a 2-pitch guy. So if fastball splitter isn't working and you have to go to a Lauer to start Game 5, I'm all good with that because he's really proven himself. He's a veteran presence. So it's not some young guy that's being thrown in that situation if that ends up being the case. So yeah, I don't, and then to go back to the Bassett Scherzer situation, I do think that it's tough leaving one of them off the roster. It's a 5-game series, so it makes sense. But at the same time, I kind of go back to I go back to like leaving Mark Burley off the postseason roster, right?
I forgot about that. Good,
right?
good comparable there.
Yeah, and it's that tried, tested, and true guy who's got the World Series ring, right? And when it comes to Bassett, you've got a guy who knows how to pitch in New York. He's pitched in New York for a good chunk of his career, pitching for the Mets. And then when it comes to Scherzer, it's a guy who's got a ring on his finger. So it's that situation where it's that pedigree that they bring in. Obviously, you want to look at the numbers and just go with the best possible pitching staff that you have. But then you got to sit and think, hey, these guys have been there. And what does that have? That's become less and less a part of the baseball equation over the years, right? As analytics and numbers take over the feel and the trust in that old dog to come in and do what he's done and get through those types of tough situations has gone kind of by the wayside. So it's tough that one of them, I feel like one of them should be there in case, in case Trey comes across some, issues really early on in Game 2 and you need to go to a veteran presence. But
Joel, if Trey does have some trouble, are you worried at all? Like, how short of a leash does Yasavich have in Game 2?
I think everybody's got an incredibly short leash.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a short leash with the way the bullpen is pitched over the last, month. They've been our strong suit. So everybody is you don't have too many opportunities to leave one out over the middle of the plate because I think the leash is very, very, very short.
Yeah.
Huge shout out to everyone in chat. Appreciate you following along. We are pushing 50 right now. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Drop your comments. We're trying to get to as many as possible. I'm going to throw to you here, Matt, and this is a great question from Kurt Loeb. He goes, is it better to have a bullpen day? So let's say you have Louis Varland as your opener and then you go to Eric Lauer, or would you prefer to just have Lauer start?
I would prefer to have Lauer start, personally.
Interesting. Why is that?
I think it's because I like Varland so much. And yes, I feel like he could show up for the first 3 innings and have a great 3 innings like he did earlier. But I like him in the 7, 8, potential for the 9. He's had a very strong confidence, and Johnny and I talked about this when he was on the Sixth Inning podcast. They were talking about him potentially being a closer, and he was just saying how much he wants it, and every reliever wants it. But his confidence was high. He was so I think he was very happy to answer that question, in my opinion. And I just feel like if he has that I can be a closer mentality, give him the big innings, give him the big roles. And Lauers showed throughout the season that he can start games, well. And I don't see why we wouldn't give him that opportunity.
Can I jump? The only thing
Jump
about
in,
that
Jen.
is Lauer's no longer stretched out as a starter. So he only has a limited number of innings in many ways, right? So at some point you're going to the bullpen. So if you start with somebody who can give you 2, maybe 3 innings, and then you go to Lauer to pitch the bulk of the game, that I think, and the fact that you've got between the two of them, different handed pitchers, which turns the Yankees lineup around. I think that would be why they would go in that direction, perhaps. But the solution to all of this is simply to just win the first 3 games and have done with it. So there's that.
There's the solution. Somebody
that.
let the Blue
The
Jays brass
easiest
know.
Just that simple.
Just win. Just win.
Johnny. Buck Martinez became a lightning rod of Yankees hate in the last month after he on a broadcast, and this is why you love an old guy over the age of 70 who just stops giving a shit. But Buck literally came out and was like, I don't care what anybody says, the Yankees are not a good team. Well, Aaron Boone, manager of the Yankees, literally came out yesterday and was like, I know there's people in Toronto who don't think we're a good team. Well, guess what, Buck Martinez? We are a good team. Does him even bringing this up mean anything to you mentally in the Yankees clubhouse? Like, do you think they're using this as fodder for motivation? Do you think the fact that this is even something that's in their head is probably more detrimental than it is a positive? Or do you think that this is just all a wash and we here making content are probably making a bigger deal about it than it really is?
I definitely think it's been made a bigger deal than it really is. I think this is fueled by the media, and I'm glad you brought it up because I wrote down quotes today because I wanted to revisit some of the fun of this season and the rivalry that has grown between the Blue Jays and the Yankees. So in early July, Michael Kay said, Blue Jays are not a first place team. They should be a 500 team because of the plus 4 run differential. They're not playing great baseball. I'm sorry, they're not. Then they swept the Yankees, and Jamie Campbell came back with, I can think of a certain Yankee broadcaster, in fact, who is going to have to go on his show tomorrow and admit the Blue Jays are a first place team because the standings prove it. And then he came back and said that was hanging on the rim and that he was a fawning fanboy. Which, I mean, great quotes from Michael Kay. I'll give him that. And then 2 months later, Buck's just like, the Yankees aren't a good team. I don't care what their record is. They have a lot of wild pitches. They make a lot of mistakes in the field. They don't run the bases very well. If they don't hit home runs, they don't have a chance to win. And I love all of that. It is showmanship at its best. And it's just the media fueling this. I think a little bit of it will sink into the players' heads and fuel a rivalry that I think already exists. I mean, you've got Vladdy being like, I'll have to be dead before I sign with the Yankees, so it's there. They don't like each other and they definitely want to perform against each other because there's extra satisfaction in beating an opponent you don't like. I mean, back when I played baseball, there was a team, coincidentally, called the Yankees, and they were the best team.
I already don't like them, Johnny.
I hated them, and I didn't like their coach. And anyway, we beat them in the playoffs, and it was so much sweeter beating them than another team. So I think it plays. It's all part of the game, and it's really fun. And I hope it doesn't stop. And I love that Boone brought it up. I don't know if that gets into the Yankees players' heads, but I love that it's all part of the process, and it's just going to make the series even more fun.
Jen, is the Yankees the biggest rival to the Blue Jays right now in 2025?
mean, yeah, just the way that season came down to the wire, right? Like quite literally, did the Yankees win their last final 8?
Yeah.
Was it like something like that? And 12 of 13? I can't remember exactly. I mean, the Yankees absolutely fought tooth and nail to try to take that division away from the Blue Jays, and only for that head-to-head matchup that the Blue Jays took 8 of 13 games is why we're having this conversation of the Jays being, the division winners. So, I think that really, the way that things ended, and then all of those quotes being tossed back and forth, I think has really just added fuel to the fire. And I think that this is just, however this goes, right? When you have two teams that finish with the same record in the most, the hardest division in baseball, and it's got to be one or the other. Like, I think this is really, like, this is peak competition.
It really is. And it makes me nervous because you know that the Yankee fan base will be ruthless. And so will the Blue Jays fan base. I'm a Calgary Flames fan when it comes to my NHL team. I grew up in Alberta. And let me tell you, no series made me more nervous than an Oilers Flames playoff series, for the reason that you were never going to hear the end of it. And it really is feeling that way. If you go on Twitter, I mean, my goodness, it is a all-out war when it comes to the fan bases. And Joel, I know that, so Boo Must Die here says, I hope this is perfect because this is the next topic. I hope Vladdy realizes the Yankees aren't going to let him beat them. Take your walks, Vladdy. Don't try to be a hero. This is perfect because I want to talk Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I know how much you love him. I'm a big fan. We're all big fans here. And I think in general, the Blue Jays fan base is a big fan of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Now, there are folks who say he doesn't do enough in big moments. No moment is bigger in his career than this division series. How are you feeling about Vladimir Guerrero Jr.? What do you need to see out of him to be happy with his performance in this series? And is patience maybe the best way Vladdy can exude his value here?
No, it's hitting home runs. He hit 23 home runs in the regular season, hasn't hit one in a month. He's being paid $500 million. He's got to be a $500 million player. On the likes of an Ohtani hitting 2 home runs in his first postseason game, the way that Juan Soto can dominate an at bat. Like, I'm not saying don't be patient, don't look for your pitch, but I'm all for him trying to be that singular piece in this team that does something special. I want something special, and it's not going to be a walk. It's going to be a 3-run home run. It's going to be 2 3-run home runs. That's
now,
what
I will push back a little here, Joel, because and please
Push
feel
away.
free to. I've been wrong many times. What has made this Blue Jays 2025 team work has been incredible patience at the plate, seeing pitches, making sure to pass the baton down the lineup. And I get what you're saying, because if there's ever been a time for Vladdy to show some power, for Vladdy to be the man, it is this series. When you is there a happy medium here? I guess, like, are you almost at the point where you're like, yeah, Vladdy, sell out, like, let's see some power?
Well, something that comes to mind that obviously his numbers at Yankee Stadium are built off his slugging percentage.
Yes, it is.
Right.
Yes.
He goes to New York and he slugs.
And he does.
And that's
slug.
what I want. I want him to go.
His whole career, by the way, chat, not to, like, his whole career, he has slugged at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah. That drives him, and I want that to drive him when he goes to New York. I want him coming around third base and shushing that crowd. I want to see this
full shush moments.
Yeah, I want to see that. That's what I want to see. And something else that is, I don't know, it gets in my head. I've said this for a long time, and I know that George Springer is a leadoff guy. He's a leadoff guy. There's just this concept that he's got to hit leadoff for some reason. I don't get it. He's got the most power on this team, and it's a situation where he is separated to Vladdy. He is not. It doesn't go Springer, Vladdy, Springer. I think that it should. I think that it should absolutely do that. I think that there should be a situation where your two best hitters are joined at the hip and you have to get through both of them. You've got to put guys on in front of them.
Would you
and
prefer
then
Nathan Lucas leading off? Like just flip those two?
Sure, that'd be fine. I just think that your two best hitters in this lineup are Springer and Vladdy, and to have Vladdy sitting there and Springer in front of him, and seeing that the approach to get Springer out would probably be very similar to the approach that they would use to get Vladdy out. So Vladdy on deck, seeing there and going, oh, this is what they did to get to Springer. He comes up, whether it's a strikeout or a home run or whatever from Springer, he's getting that information that is directly going to tie into him sitting on deck. And I just think that I don't understand having your best hitter in the leadoff spot. I just don't get it. I don't understand it at all. You've got Jimenez, Clemente in front, Clement in front of. Sorry, I've done a lot of Roberto Clemente videos.
Yes.
You have you've got Andres Jimenez and Clement in front of your best hitter. Okay, so the only time that truly matters when it comes to lineup construction is that first inning. And I get it. Springer's been the leadoff guy for his entire career. I haven't gotten it for the last 4 years when it comes to this team, especially with Bo gone. Bo in the 4-hole is your driving in guy. That's what he does. He hits. And the fact that strength of the core of your lineup is gone because Bo is gone, that's my saddest part.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that breaks my heart so much about this season, is that Bo is not there for this series. You know, he may be back at some point, but I'm heartbroken that, because he has just been the heart and soul of this team, I think, all year, coming back from injury. And it's a situation where they're both, obviously Vladdy's locked up, but 6 years of Bo and Vladdy playing together,
Yeah.
Bo has been the better player 4 out of 6 years.
It's a bummer that this is how this season has ended for Bo Bichette, who has completely had a rebound from 2024. I mean, honestly, he'd probably be getting comeback player of the year talk if it wasn't for George Springer at the top of this lineup, who has had a career year and has looked better than he has at any point going all the way back to like 2019. Going to the chat here, Benjamin DeCuna says, just got on. Why is he Savage getting game 2 over Bieber? Rocky Adams actually answers this beautifully. Bieber has handled the hostile environment before during playoffs, which makes sense. So you Savage having a little bit of a softer landing spot. Not easy, by the way, pitching in front of a home crowd of 42,000 screaming Torontonians, but definitely probably less hostile than Yankee Stadium. Let's talk Bo a little bit. Matt, it felt like writing was on the wall that Bo Bichette wasn't going to be back for the division series, and that actually is the case here. How big of a blow is that to this Toronto Blue Jays squad?
So I'm going to start off by saying you told us to bring a topic, and this
Yes.
was the topic I brought.
Okay, we're burning your topic. All right.
It's a huge hole. Just because, like Joel said, in the 4-hole, he was elite. Second most hits in baseball, even though he missed the end of the season. He was the guy you could fall back on. You could have runners on base. Vladdy could ground out or pop up. Springer could be on second, and we could just feel some confidence with Bo coming to the plate that, hey, he can do it. He's done it all year. Without him there, I think it's going to be a bit of, you're not going to have that same confidence feeling, but I do think that Barger's capable, Kirk's capable, and hopefully if we go far enough in the playoffs, we'll see Bo before the end of the year.
Yeah, that's the hope, is that he can contribute come the ALCS. Journey for Beginners here is shit talking. He goes, haha, or Yanks sweep. Your manager 0-5 in postseason decisions, and that will likely continue because this team overthinks everything in the postseason and will implode. Hard words, but then gives himself some breathing room there with likely. I like that. Like likely, but maybe not. There you go.
Sorry to interrupt, Scott. Can I build upon the Bo Bichette talk for
Please.
1 second?
Yes, it's your
My
topic.
big question
you
was-
came with stuff to use, and I was about to move on. You're like, don't do it yet. Go ahead, Matt.
I also had a question for the panel to open it up. Was, let's say the Blue Jays have, and again, I have no idea what's going to happen. They could win the World Series. They could have a rough ALDS. Let's say they have a good postseason, whatever that means for you personally. Have we seen Bo Bichette play his last game in Toronto if we don't go deep into the playoffs?
Johnny, why don't you kick us off here?
I mean, it's just speculation. Because Vladdy got signed, that changed everything for me in what I think could happen with Bo. I feel like they've already had conversations, and conversations will continue. And because they got it done with Vladdy, I feel like they could get it done with Bo. What worries me is mostly just, where's Bo playing? Because he's the worst shortstop in baseball. And that worries me. A long-term contract for someone who doesn't play their position well, and it's a really important position. Yeah, that's the only thing that I think could be a deal breaker. If Bo is like, I'm playing shortstop, and they're like, not for 10 years, you're not, and it could get real awkward real fast. But yeah, because they got it done with Vladdy, I feel like it could happen. Bo could be the team player who's willing to move to second or whatever the needs are. And yeah, I think there's a possibility there.
It makes it nerve-wracking for the fan base, because obviously if they don't get through this division series, there is a likely possibility. And maybe not likely. I'm using likely kind of like Journey for Beginners is using likely there. It gives me some leeway, right? So it is likely that this might be the last of Bo Bichette in Toronto. Jen, where are you at on that? And do you feel kind of like Johnny, where them signing Vladdy does open up a window that maybe wasn't there for Bo before?
It's not that the window is more open or more closed. I think Vladdy was the guy they wanted to sign, and they did it, right? I think they decided they were going to make that happen no matter what, and they did. And I don't think that same decision was made about Bo, and that's why we're at this point, right? Now, whether or not that also is partly on Bo saying, no, I'm going to free agency regardless, because of reasons. I don't know to what extent these conversations, looked like. Obviously, none of us are privy to that. But one thing the Jays obviously need to evaluate is exactly how vital do they believe Bo is to the offense, right? Like, is any of their struggles down the stretch, are they attributing that to him not being in the lineup? If they flame out of this postseason because they can't score runs, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if that happens, how much of their valuation of it all are they saying is attributed to not having Bo's bat in the lineup, right? If he is that valuable, then you essentially offer him whatever it is he wants. But at the same token, if you're offering him that what he wants, you're saying, but you're playing here. Right? Like, we're offering you the big money. This is what you've asked for. Here it is. Our caveat is this is where we want you to play. And then it's up to him to take it or leave it, I guess.
Joel, are you in the same boat where you look at Andre Jimenez and you're like, this is one of the best gloves in the middle infield in baseball, and it would be well worth it for the Blue Jays to try and move Bichette to second base? And would you be prepared to pay shortstop money for Bo and then move him?
Yeah, he's my franchise player. He has been my franchise player since he came up in 2019. I think we win because of Bo. I really do. Like, there's more to this team than just Bo. But since Bo started playing on this team in 2019, when we were not a good baseball team, all of a sudden we were a 500 team. Bo's injured last year. We're not a postseason team. Bo's back this year. We're a postseason team. I really think that it's just honestly that simple. I know that that's absolutely ridiculous to say on a full baseball team that has so many amazing players, but Bo is the best hitter in all of baseball. And what do I mean by that? The best at getting hits.
Mhm.
Nobody since Bo Bichette has come into the league is better at getting hits than Bo Bichette.
I mean, he
just
literally
leads.
finished second this year, 3 behind Bobby Witt Jr., and he hadn't played since September 4th.
He could have had a 200 hit season.
Yes, he could have.
He could have had a 50 double season.
Wow.
Right? Like
Yeah.
that's he's in his prime. He's 27 years old. I understand that the defense is suspect, but Clement is an amazing defensive player. Jimenez is an amazing defensive player. There's enough defense on this team. Kirk, amazing. Varsho, amazing defense.
Joel,
You need to get your offense at some spot. And I think the trade-off for and let's look at it. Like 3 years ago, he was a 22, 25 error shortstop.
mm-hmm.
In the last 3 years, he's been a 8 to 12 error shortstop. The range isn't exceptional. The arm isn't incredible. But at the same time, the last time you had a shortstop like this on a contending team, that shortstop won 5 World Series, and that was Derek Jeter.
I will say that the Jays did do a very good job of hiding Bo Bichette's defense the best they could. I mean, let's face it, Ernie Clement playing third base has been absolutely outstanding. He's probably going to get the Gold Glove for utility players. Andre Jimenez at second has been great. It has made it so Bo doesn't need to range quite as much. Boo Must Die here says Bo Bichette is to MLB shortstops that a cutout tutor shooter is to the NHL goaltenders. If the ball is hit right at him, it's okay. Otherwise, ... So, Bo Bichette, probably not a shortstop long term. And we're going to see what the open market thinks about him. We are at 2 p.m. We are now 2 hours away from game 1 of this division series. We are halfway through long toss. And before we kind of move into the second half of the show here, I'm going to let the 4 of you bring up anything you want to talk when it comes to the division series here. Is there something that you had in your mind or something you wanted to add on any of the topics that we've talked so far pertaining this series in particular before we talk past Blue Jays moments and Yankee moments and stuff like that?
Coming back real quick to Vlad and the patience versus hitting home runs. I think for Vladdy, the patience that we want to see is simply him not expanding the strike zone and throwing, swinging at crap that is, not in his wheelhouse, right? Mm-hmm. And I think for Vladdy, that's what patience means. Not taking a walk, right? But like literally wait for the pitch in your wheelhouse and then drive it to the flippin' moon, right? That's what I think we want to see. And frankly, that's what he's being paid to do. Let's be honest.
Couldn't agree more. Lisa W. here, we'll throw to you for this, Johnny here, if you want to answer the question. He goes, Lisa's husband here. Andy, hi from the UK. So everyone watching in the UK, hello. Obviously, the afternoon game bodes well for those watching there. Gives them a chance to watch it. He goes, do you think the Jays' biggest enemy will be worrying more about the Yankees' reputation rather than the Yankees themselves?
No. I think it's the playoffs and they've been preparing and their heads are in the game. They're thinking about who these players are, not what their reputations are. I mean, the Jays are a very numbers and analytics driven team. They don't care that it's Aaron Judge coming up. They care if he gets a hit against them. And they care how big of a hit that is. And they're going to do everything they can to not let that happen. I think, there's definitely some sports psychology involved. And Aaron Judge coming up to the plate is scarier than pick a random nobody who isn't Aaron Judge. It's Aaron Judge is scary, but you're also like, I think every pitcher who sees Aaron Judge come up, it would be great if they had a Rolodex like film reel in their head of every time Aaron Judge got struck out by a pitcher, because it's happened a lot. You can get the guy out. You just have to execute your pitches. So, yeah, I don't think generally that they're going to be psyched out by the Yankees' reputation. Maybe on an individual level, some of them may deal with the pressure better than others.
And we will see. It is an interesting squad of young players mixed with experienced guys. And I think that if you have experience with the playoffs, a little bit of age to you, the names like Stanton and Judge don't worry you as much. Now, we're going to see how Trey Savage deals with the Yankees lineup. And let's not kid ourselves. Aaron Judge is a big name with big numbers to worry about.
They've also had almost a week to prepare for one of two scenarios, right? So I don't think it's necessarily, I don't think they're going to let the reputation of this storied franchise get in their heads. I think they're prepared, as Johnny said, for the team that is in front of them.
Matt, any last things to add here before we kind of move on? What are your final thoughts on the division series?
It is going to be exciting. That is the biggest thing to say about it. I agree with Johnny. I think he put it perfect. The Jays are an analytic-driven team. I think we're going to see them definitely play the lefties, the righties, put up situations like that quite a bit, really make the Yankees work for it. And overall, if they can just keep their game of get on, get over, and get in, I think they can capitalize, especially if the Yankees have the same defense that they've had all year. I think they got a real good chance to capitalize, and as long as they can do that in those big situations, they'll be okay.
The Blue Jays are the #1 team in 2025 for batting average. They are the #1 team in 2025 for on-base percentage. Joel, how important is this contact game that they have played all year long in this series? Obviously, the Yankees' biggest Achilles heel is defense. How important is it for the Blue Jays to stick to their game?
Incredibly important. And I'm going to get to that topic. The one added note that I wanted to have about the division series is that we can't let the Yankees steal signs or steal information.
Thank you.
Okay. Like, so what I'm saying about that is because the Yankees are the biggest hypocrites in the world. They hate the Astros for their cheating and have cheated against us regularly over the last 3 years. Judge 3 years ago was peeking into the dugout to get information on where Kirk was setting up. He was doing this big, huge thing to kind of relay pitches just recently.
I almost respect how little he hit it. It's like,
yeah. Just so when it comes to that, and walking Judge, I'm gonna say something probably a little hyperbolic here. Hit Judge, hit him. Okay,
because that'll be good for the rivalry.
Yeah, like just because I have not seen us reply to cheating, to legitimate cheating, and it's gamesmanship. It is
gamesmanship, but yes.
But if you're going to get so crazy about sign stealing and doing all that, but then you steal signs at the same time, then you got to be ready for one in your ribs. So if it's and this goes a lot to Kirk. Kirk has a tendency to position himself for 5-10 seconds in the spot that the pitch is going to be thrown. So it's whether it's set up inside, and hey, maybe he's kept that mentality so that in the postseason he can set up inside and then right at the very end move to the outside part of the plate.
So Joel, totally for analytically driven team, do you think this is something they have talked to their catchers about? Do you think this is something that the Blue Jays analytics department has sat Heineman and Kirk down and brought up? Because I sure hope so.
I mean, yes, I absolutely hope so too, because that's not it. Where does that show up in analytics? Where's that stat? Hey, you're sitting there for 11 seconds low and away and telling the opponent where the pitch is going to be thrown. You know, it's like that's not a statistic that I've looked up on Fangraphs yet. So it's something just to keep, you know, in your mind. And then to circle back, what was the question that you asked me, because I wanted to get to
Defense.
that. Defense. That's how the Dodgers beat the Yankees in the World Series last year. That was their mentality. Put the ball in play, let the Yankees beat themselves. And the Red Sox did not do that. They did not do that.
No, they
the
didn't.
Red Sox were sitting on their back foot, trying to hit home runs with 2 strikes, and Cam Schlittler was a damn nightmare, and he knew it. So it was a situation where that team had one goal in mind, and that is take the biggest swing that you can and have the biggest possible outcome you can. And the chances of that happening in the postseason are unlikely. And this team, the Blue Jays, are built around hitting the ball to all fields, taking what you get and doing the best that you can with it. And if you do that against this Yankees team, I still believe that they will fall on their faces. So if you can be that team, don't get away from your mentality, don't get away from your strategy. It has worked all season long, and I feel like it'll work in a 5-game series against the Yankees. They're the team that, you know, don't get me wrong, they got a little better at third base with McMahon, but they're still sketchy. You hit a couple balls to Jazz. He's got a proclivity to throw it away. Judge, and then run on Judge.
Yeah.
Run. When the ball is hit to right field,
Make him make the play.
Make him make a play at second base. Challenge him. Take second whenever you can. Run on him every opportunity you can take.
We are at 60 watching right now. Thank you so much to everyone following along, commenting in the chat. We appreciate it. Hit that like button, goes a long way here. This is our playoff edition of Long Toss, and we are going to move on to our next topic, which is past Blue Jays moments that you remember fondly. And I'm going to kick things off here and throw to you, Jen. Now, my moment isn't necessarily specific, but one thing that I am bringing this up to remind everyone is it's never over until it's over. If you go back to the 2015 division series against the Texas Rangers, this was a division series where the Blue Jays went down 0-2 right out of the gate. And it took some real heroics on the road, and then, of course, the huge bat flip moment to get past that series. So I am going to throw to you here, Jen, but I just to the chat and everyone watching, they go up 1-0, they go up 2-0, they go down 1-0, they go down 2-0. This is a 5-game series, and it is going to come down to all 5 in this series to win it. Jen, past playoff moments, is there one that stands out to you?
The bat flip is obviously a little too easy to say. The one thing I'll say about that is that I was in the stadium, and to experience that as a collective, okay, versus watching it at home on my couch, let's say, to actually feel a concrete building of that size shake on its foundation, and to literally cry, burst into happy tears with a bunch of strangers. I don't know that I could duplicate that experience, like that collective experience, as a fan. So I just want to say that about that moment. I'm going to go back to the 92 ALCS against Oakland. Was it game 4?
Yeah, maybe it was 4. Yeah.
So, I mean, I remember pacing, you know, in my parents' basement, like pacing, watching this game, and having to go outside, literally having to go outside to touch grass in the middle of that game, and coming in to see, you know, Roberto Alomar
Love
and I
that.
think, yeah, and I think that moment, I think really, I don't want to say that it necessarily solidified my fandom because I was already a fan, but like that the series of events and the series of emotions that I experienced, and I was a teenager, but like it is still, 30 some odd years later, 33 years later, like viscerally,
Yeah,
like I can go back to that moment.
I love it, Jen. Matt, how about you, buddy? Do you have a favorite playoff moment? I know that in chat here, Benjamin DeCuna says Russell Martin grounding in to what should have been a double play, and then Odor flubbing the throw to first, and Donaldson running full blast from second. The Donaldson dash to walk it off. That was 2016. Matt, what was your moment?
I'm gonna build upon what Jen said of the stadium shaking. In 2015, I went to the ALCS with Johnny Cueto pitching, and taking a part in the Cueto chants for a
Oh,
full
yeah.
hour was incredible. I That was my first like playoff game in any major sport live, and it was incredible. The atmosphere was amazing. It was awesome because I was just starting high school when this happened, and I was in the middle of a giant crowd in Toronto, and everyone was the whole sense of togetherness, and this is our team, our house was there, and it was just the best thing ever,
Can
in
I
my opinion.
can I just say that I love that my 92 memory was my first year of high school, and your 2016 memory was your first year of high
2015,
school.
2015. The other one, because the obvious one is also the bat flip of
Yeah.
Jose Bautista was the whole reason I started playing baseball, was him in the home run derby. Fell in love with him there. And I watched that bat flip with my mom, and the next day I saw my grandfather. And for me, it was, this is the Blue Jays now. This is their good team now. I didn't understand the past, and for me to look at them and see all the relief and all of the, oh my God, this just happened, and being able to share that moment with them too, that also made that year so much special, or
It
so
is
much more
cool
special.
how big moments and important games do kind of like create that community within the building and within the fan base, within the country. And the Blue Jays are so good at doing that. I'm going to throw to you here, Johnny, in a second. Brett McCrindle in chat, which, by the way, we're up over 60. Thank you to everyone following along. Hit that like button. Drop your comments. We're getting to as many as we can. Brett McCrindle says, kind of dark, but Ryu's implosion in 2020. I loved that dude so much and was hyped he was pitching in a clutch game. It's a fond memory because the trauma bonding that followed, which again, the community aspect of these big moments. Johnny, do you have one in particular that still rings true to you today?
I wrote down a few because I was thinking of moments that I could remember clearly that weren't the really big ones. I was at a bar when the Joey Batflip thing happened, and it was like 30 strangers hugging each other.
Yeah.
So communities outside of the stadium too. But the three that really stood out to me that aren't the really obvious ones were in the 15-14 game four in the 93 World Series, which was absolute chaos. Such a fun game to watch. But early in that game, Todd Stottlemyre ran like the Dickens and decided to dive headfirst into third base when he hadn't run the bases in ages, and he scraped his chin to like down to the bone.
Yes.
And it was just like you could tell from that moment it was going to be a chaotic game, and it was one of the most fun games to watch in that series outside of the Joe Carter one.
And his bloody chin's iconic,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Like
yeah. It was
it stands the test of time.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I remember my dad always telling me that Kelly Gruber had a towel folding chin because it was big enough.
He did, yeah. There were two other ones. So the other one I was thinking about going back in time a little bit was Otis Nixon came up to the plate in the final game of the '92 World Series, and I was watching it with my parents, and we're like, oh, he's so fast. Is he going to bunt? I kind of want him to bunt, but please don't bunt. Oh, is he going to bunt? And then he bunts, and Timlin's like a jackrabbit on that thing. He just like sprung off the mound, got it to Joe Carter. And that was like, I mean, it's their first World Series, so it was just massively exciting. But also,
Yeah.
I just remember the tension of like, will Nixon bunt? And we kind of don't want him to because he's such a good bunter. And it was a really good bunt, but amazingly played. And the final one I want to bring up is because I was 7 watching this game. Game 1 of the 1985 ALCS, watching Dave Stieb twirl magic for 8 innings. No earned runs, 1 walk, 8 Ks. A lot of people never got to see Dave Stieb pitch. A lot of the watchers here probably never got to see him, but that was Dave Stieb in his absolute prime, and he dominated game 1, and it was beautiful. And those are the 3 big ones for me.
Joel, I know Amy, Canadian girl here, says, I also want them to take time to enjoy the moment and the joy of being in the postseason. Not many players can say they play for a team past 162, which is very true. Do you have a postseason moment that stands out to you, my friend?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna do. Okay, I'm not gonna. When it comes to the bat flip, I just want to talk about the 7th inning itself.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's
The 7th inning was a baseball game. It was beyond a baseball game. It was. The Shin-Soo Choo with Russell Martin throwing the ball off of his bat, Odor coming in to score, the confusion of that, Martin's like heart being destroyed, thinking that he was a key factor in having a Buckner moment of something like that, and then his response to the home run, that seeing Russell Martin after that ball was hit, and the way that like the joy that was on that man's face, he became a child instantaneously. As what Jen said about the rumble, whenever you watch the bat flip, it looks like there's an earthquake going on with the cameras. The cameras are going like this. When she said the foundations were shaking, it looked like the building was going to collapse. That the reaction was so.
It felt like it was going to collapse.
To add to that, in 2016 during the wild card game, I had to work that night, and I was working for an events company at the time, and I was taking down an event about 3 blocks from the Rogers Center. I was listening to the game over the radio, and there's about a 5-second delay for those of you who don't know. And Edwin hit that home run, and he's still like, the announcer is still talking about the pitcher getting set, and you could feel the ground shaking. And right away I was like, holy shit, something happened. And then you hear Eddie hits the home run, but it is palpable, right? Like it isn't just in the stadium. You feel it like literally for blocks down.
It has to register on the Richter scale.
It is so cool.
You would imagine that it does. But to go back to Joel about the top of that inning, right? So being in stadium, I was watching from section 211. We had no idea what had happened in the stadium. And like, you don't have the benefit of announcers trying to analyze or figure out or tell you what happened. We had no idea what had happened. All I knew was that things were being thrown. People it almost was a riot in there. And I called my mom because I wanted to find out what had happened, because I did what are they saying on TV? She couldn't hear me. I couldn't hear her. I ended up just hanging up on my mom, in the middle of all of this, and literally deciding like, oh my God, like if this crowd riots, am I even getting home tonight?
And this is what's pretty exciting for all of these guys. This is what the lore of the Toronto fandom it permeates through baseball. People
And-
talk about that 2015 who is on that team, and it is going to be wild. And to talk about like a guy like Trey Savage, right? Everyone is saying less pressure, easier landing spot. This is not going to be a quiet, pressureless game for the kid, right? Like this is going to be absolute chaos over the next 2 games in Toronto. And then it's also going to be chaos in New York. This is going to be about the most pressure-laden division series that we could possibly imagine as Blue Jays fans. And I think the rest of the baseball is going to take notice because guess what? Yankees, Blue Jays, this is going to be a hell of a series.
I also can't let Joe Carter's home run not get mentioned
Yes.
throughout this because it's probably the reason I'm a baseball fan. When I watched that with my dad and the joy and the jubilation of that moment and the lack of understanding that a walk-off home run to win the World Series, to me that was like, oh, yearly, that was like I'm a little kid watching that happen. And I'm like, oh, every World Series ends with a home run, right? Like that's just a thing that always happens. And to know that it was the last one for 32 years now.
Yeah.
And then before that, it was something of that duration to the previous one. And there's only been 2. So to know that I saw something so miraculous, something that really truly only happens once a generation, and that being the galvanizing reason that I love baseball to this day. You didn't know it in the moment how special it was, especially when you were a kid. But now looking back on it, going like, hey, that was the moment that brought me to being a baseball fan over a hockey fan.
Joel, I was so the Calgary Flames won the Stanley Cup in 1989. I was a Flames fan. I was 7 years old at the time. Diehard Blue Jays fan. They won in 92 and 93. As an 11-year-old boy, I was actually stupid enough to believe that you just cheer for your favorite team and then every year or 2 they win a championship. Well, here we are. Here we are like 33 years later, and that is not the case. So,
well, you're talking to I'm Edmonton.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah.
from Edmonton, you just thought that you win every second year.
Of
between
course,
1984 and
yeah.
1990. You know, and then
I'm
the Blue
from
Jays started
Toronto.
winning. I exactly thought that championships were just like a coin flip thing. You know, it's about 50% of the time your team's gonna win it. That's how it works. And
I would love for you guys to live in my 11-year-old shoes thinking Buffalo is going to be the team. And now flash forward 15 years thinking, why the hell did I do this?
Okay, we're right around 60 viewers. Thank you so much to everyone who's been following along. We are gonna talk Yankees and shit talking in just a second here, and then we'll get to everyone's topics. But Journey for Beginners actually has an interesting thought here. He goes, analytics are okay for 162, but don't do much for you in a 3, 5, 7 game set. You need the gut instinct in the postseason. So Jen, let's start with you. How much do you agree with that? And do you think John Schneider has that in him to, and I listen, because in my opinion, it would be, the analytics have already been laid out for him. And it would be almost him going against what he has been told. Do you think John Schneider has that within him? Or do you think that this team is kind of by the books when it comes to the data and the analytics points that they have?
Analytics of the 162 is what informs the decisions that are going to be made, right? So, for instance, informs the roster decisions, the lineup. You know, they have it on a board somewhere or on their iPads, all these different in-game scenarios and what they would do in each of those scenarios, right? This is very well mapped out. So that's where the analytics comes in, is just this overall game plan. The in-game management, right? Like having that feel, I guess, for the game, the direction that the game is headed in, you know, how, you know, let's say Gausman is looking, you know, can he go through the lineup one more time? Or, you know, how a particular hitter is looking, and do we need to make you get what I'm saying, right? Like all of
Yeah.
these different little things. I would like to think that the utter debacle of pulling Jose Barrios in favor of Kikuchi and the way that that played out and the rhetoric around that, of which I was a big part, I'll admit. But like, you know, I would like to think that Schneider will manage these games with what he genuinely believes to be the best in the moment and not necessarily stick to the plan at all costs.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really hope that that one moment in time gives him the you know, gives him the ability to basically just stick with his gut.
Yeah. Going to chat real quick here. Real Justice says Jays get swept, and I'm impressed. Actually, Real Justice has that much faith in the Yankees defense. I actually kind of don't believe you actually feel that way, Real Justice. Show me a bet slip, and I will eat my words here. I think this is going to go 4 or 5 games, and I can't see the Yankees not at least losing one all on their own. But if you're a Yankee fan, you know, best of luck to you with that defense. It has kind of stung you before, I guess. If you're cheering for them, hopefully it doesn't sting you again. Joel, where are you at on analytics? We're not going to dive too deep into this. I know everyone kind of shits on analytics when really it's just data. It's just using data. Do you think the Blue Jays have it in them to use that data and then in the moment kind of go by what you're seeing with your eyes?
My counterpoint to it is Kike Hernandez. Kike Hernandez is one player for 162 games out of the year, and then come October, he is an absolute juggernaut. So it's a situation where, I guess maybe the analytics say Kike Hernandez is good in October, so maybe that kind of counted as a counterpoint to that. But
the data says so.
To go off of that though, I think that this is a team that's, you know, it's a true everyone contributes baseball team, and that's how it's been run all season long. Is let's make this move, this position. Let's bring in Davis Schneider here. Let's rotate the infielders here. This guy can play this position. This guy can go over here into the outfield. Barger can go into right. He can play third. Schneider can play left. He can play second. It seems like it's built off of movement and what's best for the individual situation. And I think that bodes a lot better for a team than kind of being locked situationally and going, well, you know, Judge has to play right field. You know, it's like this team is the opposite. This team isn't. We got stars on the team, but they're humble enough to be rotated and moved around and make the decision that's best for the specific moment. And I just think that it's a situation where if the team is humble, they're selfless, they're willing to do whatever it takes. And that's what you need come postseason time. You need a team that batting average to me is considered. This is the analytics to classic mentality. Batting average is thrown away in modern day baseball, and to me, it's one of the most important stats. It is absolutely, to me, one of the most important statistics when it comes to baseball. And this team is the best at batting average. This team can hit, and you have to be able to hit when it comes to the postseason. You have to be able to be clutch. And I'm not talking about home runs. I'm talking about that line drive down the line that scores 2. I'm talking about putting the ball where the ball needs to go because of the pitcher that you're facing off. And this team is the best at it in all of baseball. So I think when it comes to analytics, you realize that what will happen is when one strategy ends up you finding success in that strategy, the entire league will turn into that strategy, and they will all become whatever won last year. Oh, we're going to use that. Everybody's
copycat league, baby.
Yeah,
Copycat
exactly.
league. Yeah.
But one of the smartest things that you can do in baseball, because there's endless ways to win at this game. There's endless ways to win, and it's bucking the trend and saying, hey, if everybody is in a damn traffic jam in this lane, but nobody's going in this direction, I'm going to go in that direction. And it feels like that's what the Jays have done this year. And So they've been analytically driven, but in their own pursuit of victory, and it's been unique and it's been an individual approach. And I really think that that's the way to stand out in the postseason, is do something different and find success in a way that nobody else is finding success.
So we are going to get to the final topic before we get to all of your topics here. And actually, JB kind of leads into it. He goes, Yanks are so hot right now. Yanks, which I guess they've won 2 of their last 3, and the Red Sox coughed up game 2, and I guess that's so hot. Obviously, I'm shit talking a little bit, and if we want to actually give all sorts of credit to the regular season and worry about that, the Yankees finished at the exact same record as the Blue Jays. They're a very good team, and I'm not downplaying that. I know that at the end of the Red Sox series, the wild card series, everyone in New York started chanting, fuck the Blue Jays, in that sports-like way. Fuck the Blue Jays, and then they'd clap their hands. Right? Very rhythmic. Johnny, you have actually prepared a overlay. If we can kind of rank here. So we're going to talk Yankees shit talking moments, or just cringe moments in general. Now they have been ranked as, Johnny, I'll throw to you here to kind of explain the graphic.
Okay, I'm going to cover my face up here and a couple other faces. The most annoying and worst behaved fans ranked according to 999 MLB fans. The Yankees come number 1 in both categories. And there's a few other playoff teams on there. We got the Red Sox, we got the Dodgers, we got the Phillies, the Cubs are in there. There's no sign of the Blue Jays or the Mariners or the Milwaukee Brewers, because, you know, they're Northerners and they're respectful people, and they've made good decisions with their lives. You know? That's my little piece on that.
we're obviously, as Blue Jays fans, the Yankees in the division. If there's ever been a rivalry to have, it is with the Yankees, and we're not alone. You can kind of go through a lot of different fan bases, and they will declare the Yankees as their least favorite. Is there a Yankee moment or a Yankee shit talk or a Yankee dislike you have that you want to vocalize and cover your face?
See, and we talked about this before, that I was having a really hard time thinking of one. But I guess the biggest one I could think of would be going to a Yankees game in person and having people sit beside me try to start the "Let's Go Yankees" chant.
Right, which is just also very annoying.
Dead silent. Just everyone else is dead silent, and they persist to go. I couldn't really think of anything cringy other than the persistence that their team is better than everyone else.
I actually don't remember the year. My guess is we're talking somewhere between 2003 and 2006, but I will forever remember a hop up to third base, and Alex Rodriguez is on second, and there's 2 outs, and he rounds third, and he yells out, and it was a rookie at third base who had played about 3 or 4 games, and he yells out, "Got it!" And the Blue Jays third baseman just backed up and let that ball fall, and Rodriguez scored, and I mean, benches cleared and things got ugly, but I will forever remember that A-Rod. And you know what? That Yankees team from 98 to 2001, I mean, they were a very hateable team because they were so damn good. Joel, do you have any Yankees hate in you?
Yeah, obviously, like my thing is that we've had a team that has been caught legitimately cheating to win a World Series. And so the Astros went to the top of the hate board, but I find it shocking that it didn't last for nearly as long as that should have lasted. And the Yankees just took it right back. It's just like, hey, guess what? The Yankees, you were bounced from being the most hated team for, a 30, 40, 50-year span. You were always the most hated team. And then the Astros came and took it. And you guys, you just by being the Yankees.
And Joel, Mike and T.O. says, and let's all remember the Astros weren't the only team that cheated. And that's very true here,
That's true.
right? The Boston Red Sox with their Apple Watches. I mean, the Yankees obviously had their moments as well that were questionable, even in that 2017 series. I love JB bringing up here Yankee Stadium playoff ticket sale situation where they're not allowing anyone from Massachusetts to come to the games.
This is just personal. I hate Jazz Chisholm.
I do too. This is one of the biggest jokes in my friend group. Jazz is not the guy.
I just hate him.
My mother was on the phone going, okay, Jazz Chisholm, like, I know who you are. This is my mother. Like, that's how annoying he is.
I like to
Jazz
spoonerize.
Chisholm's
I like to spoonerize his name. I won't say it, but it's a really fun name to spoonerize.
All right, folks, we are at 63 watching right now. Please hit the like button. Thank you so much for following along. This has been a really fun playoff long toss. Thank you so much to all of you panelists. We are down to our final 20 minutes. We are an hour and 28 minutes from first pitch of the most important game of 2025 for our Toronto Blue Jays. We are now going to go around the horn here, and we're going to, also, this is the rally puppy here.
The rally puppy.
Hello, rally puppy.
Thanks, babe. All right, so it is topic time, which means each panelist is bringing to the forefront here a topic for us all to talk. And chat, feel free to jump in here with whatever the topic is. We'll try to get to as many comments as possible here. Jen, are you good to start us off here?
Yeah, I mean, I think elements of this may have already been addressed, at least by Joel, but I'm going to put it out there anyways.
Joel will step on all of your topics if you let him.
That 2015 team, I think was, first of all, was the best in Major League Baseball that season. Like, it didn't end up that way. They didn't end up ultimately winning the World Series, but I think we can all agree that they probably should have been the team to go to the World Series, and had they would have won. And that was a team that was widely disliked around the league just because of the nature of the players. Like, they were all so good, so arrogant, like they were that collective group of dirtbag players. And I really don't know that the Jays have had like that good of a team since. And I think that 2015 team was the best team since like 93.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is there what, if anything, and I'm sure there's things, what about this 2025 team suggests that to you that they could go on a similar, if not better run than that 2015 team?
I have an answer.
Johnny, you want to kick us off here?
Yeah. Actually, ironically, the reason I think this team could do it is that they're so much like the 2015 Kansas City Royals, which were a team full of scrappy guys who could hit the ball, get on base, move each other around. They played like a team. They had a good bullpen that you could just toss from one guy to the next. Much like our Blue Jays, they didn't have any like super standout stud starter. They just had good starters, great bullpen, quality hitters, hit doubles a lot. The makeup is very similar. So that's what gives me hope about this team is if they can play like the Royals played in 2015, they could really do something special.
Johnny, Mike is actually right on board with you. Mike and T.O. says they actually remind me of the team that beat the Jays in 2015. And then he's like, oh, we think alike. So there you go. Both on the same page. Matt, how about you, buddy? This is a very great topic, by the way, Jen. What about this 2025 team makes you think they can go the distance?
I I 100% agree with Johnny of the scrappiness to get on base. I truly believe that the togetherness and the just unity of the entire team is what makes them unique and what makes them succeed. The big thing that I think they need, and this was a hurdle that the Leafs faced getting out of round one. I think the biggest thing for this team is win one game. As soon as they get the one win that's haunted them off their back, I think the sky's the limit.
That
Just-
is a really good point. This team has not won a playoff game since 2016. It has been 9 years, and this is a squad who has been to the playoffs in 2020, 2022, 2023. And yeah, this little bit of a monkey on their back. Joel, where are you at on this 2025 team?
That win one game is a great point. It's an exceptionally great point. Jen and I feel like what she said about Kansas City is what this team is. This isn't a team that you win or lose by 2-3-4. Your 2-3-4 guys, like that's what that amazing Blue Jays team from the past was. If Batista, Encarnacion, and Donaldson could smash, you could win, right? Like this is a team that you could have a different hero every single night. Anybody in that 9-man, and whether it's a defensive play, whether it's a running play, whether it's a clutch hit, the game is they've got it figured out in so many different aspects as opposed to just one singular approach to winning. So any a Jimenez play could do it. A Varsho catch up against the wall could do it. Like you don't know what the moment is going to be that wins it and truly sets this team, on a journey of success in this postseason. And I think that not having one singular approach that you can game plan is what makes them a legitimate threat.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way, is that this team has been a sum of their parts the entire season. And so if this team is going to go on a run, it is going to be on the back of these role players that they've kind of built this squad around. And you're going to need contributions from your Vladimir Guerrero Juniors and your Shane Biebers and the big players. But you're also, especially with Bo being out, you are going to need Andre Jimenez to step up. You are going to need Ernie Clement to continue to have post-season success like he has had regular season success. I know Journey for Beginners here goes, Ross said power hitting was low-hanging fruit in the offseason and never really got it. I really do think that Anthony Santander is a big deal in this, and I understand the pushback from some of the fan base seeing him in the starting lineup today. But I think that it is incredibly important, and probably more important than some of us are actually saying, that he gets right and contributes on this run if they are going to go deep. If they are going to beat the Yankees, we need to see something out of Anthony Santander this division series. JB goes, I miss Joel being on the walk-off. So there you go, Joel. So do I, bud.
Well, I'm back at the right time. I hop back on the bandwagon at the right. No, that's not the case. So, I was down in the States doing my stuff, but it's great to be here. And another thing is it's just you can't help but, for anybody who is in the chat who's cheering the Yankees right now, you got to understand that we have to be on our high horse right now. This is happy time.
Yeah.
Fans.
Yeah.
And let us, we're going to be happy here. We're going to be happy in the moments that we can be happy.
We have an hour and 15 minutes where we're still the best team in the American League.
Yes, no matter what. So we, expectations should be high, and everybody should be as happy as they possibly can be right now. Cause it's, you don't get these opportunities all the time.
Jen, do you have an answer to your own question? And I'll be right back. I'm so sorry. I thought I could make it the last 13 minutes before peeing, but I can't.
You know, I honestly didn't think of that Royals, angle that Johnny brought up, right? That the 2025 Blue Jays might be like the 2015 Kansas City Royals. And I thought that was a really good point, just like right off the bat, that this team wins in a different way. But I don't think, I think any fan that claims that they saw a 94 win season out of this team at the beginning of the year, I think is lying, right? I don't think we could have expected the season to have gone this well, and it certainly didn't look like that off the hop, right? So, for them to have actually surpassed their win total from last year by 20 games and 20 whatever it was, and surpass all the betting odds that were placed against them, it really is because they have all these guys who can sort of step up in any given moment. And I think that makes, any team particularly unique, that it isn't just coming down to one or two guys. So, that doesn't mean I don't want to see Vladdy have that big moment and be that guy. But if he's not, it doesn't mean that the other, your 7, 8, and 9 hitters can't be that guy.
And it's not like this team doesn't have guys who hit home runs either. I think
Right.
there's sort of a misconception where it's like, oh, the Blue Jays, it has to be 1 through 9 and stringing hits together. We just saw just in the last week who can hit home runs and how important they can be. Dalton Varsho hit a grand slam. Kirk hit a grand slam and then another home run. So it's not like that's not part of their game. It's just that it doesn't matter who does it. I would tie this into the Vladdy talk too. I don't expect of him to be great in this series, and he doesn't even need to be. He just needs to be good. He just needs to contribute, and everybody else does too. And if everybody just plays good, this team wins. Over and over they win. And like Joel said, it doesn't matter. And I wouldn't even call them heroes, because it's just like the player who played the best that game. But they didn't single-handedly win the game for them. They hit a double that counted for more than the singles that the other guys hit. But it's a complete team effort. And when they play that way, they surprise teams like the Yankees and their own fans. And it's great.
Truly. We are down to the last 10 minutes. Thank you so much for everyone who is in chat. Hit that like button. I know that we've had up over 60 in here, and our like total doesn't show it. But if you have enjoyed the product, please hit the like button. It does help us in the long run. Subscribe to the channel. Matt, I'm going to throw to you here, bud. What do you have for your topic? What are we talking here?
Well, we already talked about Bichette, which was my big
Yes.
question.
I can move on to Johnny if you want, if you don't have anything.
No. I was thinking about another one, and I think this one's kind of more directed to Joel, because you were saying you've been doing a lot of stuff in the U.S. I've been looking at like different podcasts, talking to people in the USA. I'm feeling like there's an overall perception of the Blue Jays, quote unquote, can't win the World Series because we're a Canadian team and baseball is US's sport. And I feel like talking to people and looking at other podcasts, the Blue Jays are more looked over because they're a Canadian team. Do you feel that kind of energy in the US as well, or am I reaching or talking to the wrong people?
So I'm out in California a lot. So there isn't too much like rivalry that is built on the Blue Jays. You're not having Blue Jays hate out in California the way that you would probably have it on the East Coast. But what I'm going to say, it's two parts. Yes, because Canada is looked on as America's like little brother, but at the same time, I feel like culturally what the WBC has done to baseball is truly made it a far more international game. And you see the responses, especially when I go to a game in California, you see so many cultures mixing. You go to a Dodgers game, you go to a Angels game, and it is a love affair that is it is taken over the United States in such a diverse way. And I think now, it was probably more so in the years past that Blue Jays were looked down on as, oh, they can't win. They're just the Blue Jays, this Canadian team. What do Canadian fans really know about baseball? But now I think we've kind of earned a little bit more respect, and especially in the diehard fans. I hear when you look, if you go on social media and you look at that the Yankees fans saying, fuck you Blue Jays, you look in the comment section and it's unified. Beat those Yanks.
Yeah.
Get them out of here. Get these fans out of here. We want you to win. Canada, do us a favor.
Yeah.
It's across base, and that's like, these are baseball fans that are on our side right now.
Yeah.
So it's yes, but at the same time, it's not nearly what it used to be. And in this case, I think we actually have a lot of America's support to win this series.
Was it
Yeah.
92 or
Yankees hate.
93 that they hung the Canadian flag upside down? I forget which World Series that was, but they
I did not
intentionally,
know that.
yeah, maybe 92. They intentionally hung the Canadian flag upside down in Atlanta. That's what it was. So, yeah, I mean, it's not a new thing,
Manfred would hate it. Like, Manfred would hate the Blue Jays being in the World Series. I mean, that would be, can you imagine a Milwaukee-Toronto World Series? That would be hilarious.
Dream come true.
Oh, it would be such a nightmare for Manfred. But anyways. All right, we are down to the final 5 minutes. Thanks to everybody who is following along. We're sitting at 60 watching right now. Going to the chat. Boo Must Die says if baseball is the USA sport, they should think about winning a World Baseball Classic again someday. Winky face, which a little salt on the wound there. JB says 99% non-Canadian players and coaching staff. I mean, yeah, that's true. We do love our baseball though, nonetheless. All right. Johnny, take us home, brother. What do you have for your topic?
Oh boy, this feels like anticlimactic after all these great conversations. I was thinking about this year's team, and I think people who chat with me know that I love the unsung heroes, the role players, the underdogs. And I was thinking about Lukes and Clement, Fluharty, Fisher, Little, all these players who have contributed in major ways to the club being as good as it is this year. And I started to think about, I don't know those players on other teams. And I started to think about why I don't know those players on the other teams. And I think the reason I can find is that baseball cards aren't sold on corner stores anymore. I used to collect baseball cards till I was 15 or so, or maybe even later, till I moved out of home. And I knew the names of players like Mel Hall and Marvell Wynn and Jim Beattie and Scott Geraltz and Ron Kittle and Sal Bando, who nobody would know because they're role players who are forgotten in time. And there are role players from the 2000s who are also forgotten in the 10s. And I feel like I just wanted to give props to our role players who this may be the best season of their lives, of their careers. And they could disappear. These guys could be gone next year. We don't know. But I just wanted to give a big shout out to those role player guys who, I love them. Give me more Ernie and as I like to call them, nukes. And yeah, the guys who come in and do amazing work. And I don't know if you guys can think of any other names on the team that are kind of the unsung heroes who, may not be here in a couple years.
This is not ending on a whimper. This is a great way to end it, Johnny. I absolutely love this topic, and there are plenty of guys to choose from. I will go around the horn here, but I'm going to jump in, get my elbows up, and start this off, because the truth of the matter is Anthony Santander was paid $100 million to come in and hit bombs for this team in 2025. He was the big free agent get, and the truth is he didn't work out this season. I'm not saying he's not going to for the next 4 years. In fact, I actually have faith Anthony Santander is going to play his role. He was injured, slow start, never really got his feet under him. And normally, if you were to remove a power bat from the middle of a lineup, it is going to sink a team. And enter Addison Barger. Triple A Addison Barger, by the way. This is a man who didn't make the team out of spring training. He comes up and he delivers bomb after bomb after bomb. And yes, he got cold in September and he's cooled off lately, and you're crossing your fingers and hoping that he finds the magic again. But to have, there's not a lot of teams that you could replace your 30 home run guy with some dude in AAA and get the same production. So, in your topics vein here, Johnny, a tip of the hat, if you will, to Addison Barger. Joel, how about you? Who's your underrated blue collar Blue Jay that you just fell in love with this year?
I've always been a big Ernie guy. I just love the approach. I love the way, like the defensively this year, better than Matt Chapman. Right. And it's wild to think that we were losing Matt Chapman and all the conversations that we had about losing his glove at third base and getting a defensive player right there equal in ability, which is absolutely shocking. I love his average approach as opposed to, he goes for average. He's trying to hit 280. He's trying to hit 290. Doesn't care what his on base is. I'm going to hit 280. And Lauer, we've talked about him a bunch. I think that he has been something that, to the point at hand, losing Santander and 40 home runs, which he hit last year, should have sunk this team. But the role players, and then to go to Davis Schneider and what he was last year, and the meteoric rise and meteoric fall, and then finding his way back and being a great contributor all season. Not just offensively, but some of the most amazing catches too that you've seen in left field. This team just has that grit and that next man up mentality, and it doesn't feel like it really feels like anybody can contribute on a day-to-day basis. And I think that's what separates baseball from all the other great sports, is that in basketball, you run 5 guys out there. In hockey, you run out your best line as much as you can, eat up the ice time. In football, it's your quarterback, your running back. There's key players that take everything. But here in baseball, you need a full team, and that's what this team has been for 162 games. So,
and to add to that, Joel, I mean, Boo Must Die in chat here brings up a really good point. Jimmy Garcia and Nick Sandlin did some very good work early that has ended up being important in the grand scheme of things this season. And we've had a few guys like that. Easton Lucas had a couple starts that, where would we have been at the end of April when this team was kind of struggling to even be 500 without the pitching performance of Easton Lucas. Matt, we're wrapping things up here. Jen as well. Did you two, let's start with you, Jen. Did you have anyone you wanted to kind of shine a light on here? I know we may have taken them all, but.
I mean, I think he's probably already, gotten his props, but Eric Lauer saved this rotation.
Yeah.
I don't think we can talk about that enough. Where would this team be if he had not been able to be inserted into that rotation and do what he did? And I think we'll still somehow factor into this postseason in a really big way. So shout out to him. And then, I really don't know how much of a role this guy plays in things, but shout out David Popkins.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what? The hard left turn they took in their hitting strategy this year has paid dividends up and down this organization. I don't think that they necessarily changed completely what they were trying to do. You could tell last year they were very much focused on not striking out and contact, but they found a way to really make it work this year. Matt, we'll end with you, my friend. Did you have anyone that you wanted to give a shout out to, a blue collar guy on this team?
I got two. Joel already touched on it. Davis Schneider.
Yeah.
He first off, everyone knows he's my favorite player. He went down to AAA early in the year, and plenty of people, myself included, thought this might be the end of Davis Schneider. And he made adjustments, came back, worked his butt off, played excellent defense. He got just under an 800 OPS to end the season. He did exactly what they needed to do in the situations they put him in, and I don't think you can ask more from a guy than, hey, go up there. You're going to get on base. Might take you out. Might leave you on. Hey, if they throw in this pitcher, Jimenez is going to come on. And the fact that there's no pushback from it is awesome. And the fact that he could do what they wanted it when he was at the plate is awesome. And the second guy would be John Schneider. I was not a huge John Schneider coming into the season. I missed the Gibby days for the fiery head coach who trusted his gut, and Schneider showed that a lot this year. There were countless times he got ejected standing up for his guys, and I think he turned the clubhouse mentality from you're a superstar, you're here because we need you, into you're all here because you're playing, we have a role for you, you're all going to play your role, and we're all going to do this together. It's not going to be one man.
Thank you all in the chat who have joined us. We really appreciate it. Hit that like button. We're wrapping things up here. We are just over 1 hour away from first pitch of the division series, Toronto Blue Jays, New York Yankees. Quick shout out to Tyler Heineman, the Magic Man, and Miles Straw, two guys that maybe didn't get mentioned here, were brought up in the chat, and definitely mega blue collar, under the radar role players that made big contributions in 2025. Go Jays, go. We'll end on saying thank you very much, Jen. Obviously, folks can follow you on Twitter. You're very prevalent there. If they're trying to, what are baseball_Jen, correct? Not
Baseball
to just take the
underscore Jen with 2 N's. That's me.
Joel, my friend, it has been too long. Thank you so much for making time today. Honestly, man, love having you on the show. Where can folks follow you, and what are you working on?
I've kind of shifted off of my own page to help actually my girlfriend's page.
Yes. Yes.
which has done really incredible things over the last couple of months. It's led to some really great opportunities in the game. Wildly enough, Tommy John has a little viral campaign that's building up with guys like Rob Friedman behind it. Trevor May is behind it. So we're really doing everything we can to get that movie put together and out for the public in the next year and a half or so. But if you want to follow me, you can always follow me at @hate_commie on TikTok. But the best place to follow my content now is Brooke Knows Ball,
which is incredible. Honestly,
yeah.
It is such a great page, dude. I've been loving it so much, and yeah, Rachel does know ball.
Yes, she does.
yeah, that's right. All right, Matt, thank you so much, my man. You are editor extraordinaire. You're fill-in co-host. You do so much work behind the scenes no one knows about, and you are appreciated. Thank you so much. If anyone's trying to follow you, where should they go, buddy?
At Batflippin' Matt on everything. I'm always talking baseball, always talking hockey, whatever you want to talk about. And yeah, thank you for this opportunity. I absolutely love being on the podcast, and I love working for the Walk-Off.
Last and definitely not least, and everyone in chat, we could not have run this without him, our producer here. He has got the live stream up and going, and just really a very baseball, a beautiful baseball mind, if you will. Johnny Eaton, thank you so much, my friend. Really appreciate you running things here.
You're welcome. I'm happy to be back and doing this again. It's been a while.
It's been a while. Now, let's say folks want to follow you somewhere. You're on Blue Sky, correct?
Yeah, I'm on Blue Sky. I get very political there, I'll tell you that.
Okay.
But occasionally I do post some baseball content, mostly charts and graphs, because I'm a big stats nerd. So yeah, that's the place to see my baseball stuff. Otherwise, it's all music and stuff. So
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone.